Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Mnisi. This morning I want to put the latest developments in the Senzo MEYIWA trial into perspective. Because here at the Daily Fix, we not only get information from people, we go beyond that information to read between the lines and say to ourselves, what is this all about? Let me briefly indicate that yesterday, Advocate George Balui simply told the court that the security threats, because he just talked about security threats and did not elaborate any further, had been addressed. And that, well, what does getting addressed mean? It means they've been solved. Apparently, that was not the case, because Mnisi came up with a totally different version. Now, what do we read into this? The only thing that we can read into this is that the defense is being intimidated by the police. And I want to say that very categorically, that the police, whoever these policemen may be, are complicit themselves in these intimidatory tactics. Mnisi told the court that the people who are specifically being targeted for assassination are Sergeant Mohola and Brigadier Gininda. And he said in no uncertain terms that the defense, especially himself, Mnisi, is complicit in that plot. That is a very serious allegation as they come. But the most interesting thing that I would also like to take further this morning is Mnisi told the court that those investigators, these yet faceless investigators who are unknown at this stage, had told him that they have full information around this issue. Full information, just underline that. And what does that mean? It means that the police know exactly who is behind that conspiracy, if at all such a conspiracy exists. And I want to say categorically this morning that there is no such conspiracy. There is simply no such conspiracy. These are just intimidation tactics. The whole plot is to intimidate the defense, and Mnisi in particular. Just take a listen to this, and I will take it up from when the clip finishes. Take a listen to this.
And I'm saying that simply because there's information that was conveyed to us when we went to go and find out yesterday, subsequent to the request that was made to see the two gentlemen that are accompanying our witness here. There's a person who identified himself as an investigator in these threats or in these new developments which amount to security threats. He identified himself, and then he said, and I'm going to repeat it on record, that they were targeting, that they were after certain individuals who were seated here at court, and they've been monitoring them for some time. But yesterday, when they were about to approach them, they were no longer able to see them, and that those individuals had disappeared. So they are suspecting that we are the cause of their disappearance. And my colleague will bear me out on that if I'm wrong or right. They are saying, he said that they are suspecting the defense team has been the cause for their disappearance, and has been saying that in a way we also complicit in a plot to kill, because he said those that have been targeted for killing, it was Sergeant Mohula and Brigadier Kininda. I also mentioned the third person. So then from there, the 2 or 3 gentlemen then were whisked away. And then he said, there's an investigation and they've got full information around that investigation. We don't know whether that investigation implicates the defense or what. But subsequent to that, my lord, information has it that Mr. Mnisi is identified particularly as a person who has got a tendency to interfere in affairs that do not concern him. And that, to Mr. Mnisi, constitutes a very serious threat to his life, limb, the freedom of expression, freedom of movement, and freedom of association. Mr. Mnisi says he will not take lightly those threats, because to him those constitute very serious threats. If a person says he has got a tendency to interfere in affairs that have got nothing to do with him, we don't know what then the consequences would be. That's a very serious challenge to Mr. Mnisi, my lord. So Mr. Mnisi, because of those threats, is no longer sure whether he would still have to continue in his trial the manner in which he used to do before the advent of those threats. That threat again, and coupled with the fact that Mr. Mnisi is also part of the defense team that was told that they are complicit in the broader scheme to assassinate Mohula and Brigadier Kininda, find it very difficult to proceed to be part of this trial, pending the outcome of the investigation as to whether those threats have got substance or not.
So if you read between the lines, Mnisi is telling the court there and significantly saying the police have the full information of who is behind this assassination plot. Now the question for the day becomes this: if the police are then in possession of the full information about who is behind this conspiracy to harm Mohula and Kininda, and they have the full information around this matter, one could simply rhetorically say this: why do they not in fact an arrest? The police allegedly have full information about who is involved in this conspiracy. That is what Mnisi told the court. Now, why don't they go ahead and arrest the conspirators if there's any substance behind this? But my take is, because there's no substance behind all this, because this is just simply intended to be their intimidatory tactics, this is just intended to instill fear in the defense counsels. No such arrests are taking place. That is my take. because there's simply no reason why, if we can believe that the police, and I have no reason to doubt what Advocate Mnisi told that court, if the police have got information, why don't they act on it? This is just an intimidatory tactic to say to Mnisi, watch out, we are watching you. Remember, some time back, that courtroom address of Malisela Teffo. Somebody is keeping a close eye on developments in the sense of MEYIWA trial. And those who take the lead, to expose the rot around this case, are likely to find themselves in the situation that Mnisi finds himself. They are likely to be targets of intimidation of one form or another. And this is just one of those. It is simply one of those because what we have seen so far is Mnisi will stand up for his rights. You see, there's that allegation or threat that he tends to involve himself in matters that don't concern him. What is going on here? What are these matters that Mnisi is supposedly engaged in that are none of his business? Because so far, what Mnisi has been doing before that court is perfectly lawful. Perfectly lawful. What is this business that he has involved himself with, or is in the habit of involving himself with, which is none of this his business? Nobody will ever answer that one. But as I round up this episode, let me say that I will be following the trial with a keen sense of interest today, as it resumes at 10 a.m. and see what happens. Because Mnisi clearly is not in a position to continue under those circumstances. This thing has to be cleared up as soon as possible, so that if there is indeed such a conspiracy or a plot to assassinate anyone, let that plot come to the fore. If nothing happens, the only thing that we can conclude is that this is just a ruse. This is intended to be nothing but a threat, a way of intimidating the defense into toning down what they are doing. Mnisi has already called Absalom Zungu, remember? He's now got Gwabeni on the stand. And everybody involved in the investigation of this matter is somehow uncomfortable with what Mnisi is doing. So the only option is to intimidate him and say, what are you up to? We are watching you. So let us brace ourselves for the resumption of the trial this morning and hope that, or look forward rather, to what Mnisi has to tell the court. Because Mnisi is adamant. If no investigation or immediate investigation is undertaken so that these matters, are settled, he's not in a position to continue the trial. Having said that, let me thank you for watching this video. Let me thank you for all the views, subscriptions, likes, and shares that we are seeing. We are now only 4 clicks, 4 away from the 12,000 subscriber mark. Make it possible before the end of the day. Thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful day.